So it's 1 o'clock. I think we can get going. I know Phil, when he does his lunch with Phil's, um, normally waits a couple minutes after, but we won't keep everybody waiting. But Todd, I wanted to say thank you to you for offering to put on the presentation today. So for those of you who don't know him, Todd Krause is the owner of the Fishers, Indiana office. 900 plus customers, over $3 million of revenue, big office. And Todd has a very low employee turnover ratio. He's really focused on his culture there and compensation to kind of keep happy employees and keep them around. But it wasn't always that way. So when Todd bought the office, things were a lot different. He made a lot of changes, and we're going to talk about those things today. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Todd.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Yes, as Tim mentioned, culture really does matter. It really does matter in the success of the office. So what we're going to do is go through about 19 slides worth of content and then take questions toward the end. All of this will be available after today's session, so please do not feel obligated to take copious notes. Rather, absorb the information and get as much benefit out of it as you can. So what we're really talking here is how culture can help us with our COGS and our profits. It really has been what's driven the success here. And we've used culture to align the entire office from the customers through me, the owner, the managers, right down to the cleaners. What we've done is we've looked at what the different elements of culture are, and we changed the language from don't do this, don't do that, and flipped it all around 180 degrees to use positive language. There's always a positive way to request what you want from the cleaners and to tell them what you need. Following that, we focused on quality and consistency, making sure that that was there at all levels to drive our profits. It's really become our competitive advantage. It's driven our profitability higher, and it certainly has had a tremendous benefit on our cleaner turnover. And there's just so many benefits from it. We've lowered our cleaner turnover. Q2, we're trending at 6% turnover, which would put us at about an annual turnover of 24%. We've eliminated almost all of our hiring costs. We've greatly reduced our training costs. The customers like it. They see the same team on the same day at the same time. It's something that they become comfortable with, and they expect it going forward. It's helped us grow our revenue. We've consistently walked our COGS down. This year's goal is to be sub 59% on COGS. And if we've just increased the hurdles that we have for revenue and decreased the metrics that were our goals for expenses, and it has worked year after year. What that ultimately does, and what you care about when you're the owner, is the cash flow. It puts more money in your bank account. If the days are easier, the customers are happier, the cleaners are happier, it just comes along so much more smoothly. But it's really important that you find the culture in your office. For me, I was able to look around, I was able to say, okay, it's a Hispanic staff. They come from multiple Central and South American countries. They're proud of their culture. So we really pumped that up. We have an entranceway that looks like the United Nations with flags for every country that our cleaners come from. We really do celebrate their culture. But you need to look around in your office. What is the culture of the area you're operating in? What is the culture of the cleaners that you hire? What are their likes? There's probably going to find some central theme that you can build your culture around. And in our case, it happened to be that the staff was Hispanic and our office is Spanish speaking. So that's where you're going to find it, and that's where you can leverage it to create your own unique culture for you and for your team. Now, once you do that, and once you work on language, it's critically important that the cleaners don't see any daylight between owners and managers. In other words, whatever the owners saying this is important, the managers have got to echo that too. Otherwise, there's always the possibility of the cleaners using that gap that in there and trying to turn it into something that it's not intended to be. Maybe allowing certain behaviors that you really don't want to have happen. Well, I know the owner said this, but I heard the manager say that. So maybe we really don't have to do what the owner wants. That's the owners, the managers, and the cleaners. You've got to, as an office, walk the talk. And it's got to be uniform throughout. It's going to come across in your choice of words. It's going to come across in your actions. When they see that you care, then your managers are going to care. And when the cleaners see that you and the managers care, the cleaners are going to care. And they'll take that with them on a daily basis out to each house that they clean. And your customers are going to notice that as well. So then when I talk about the language, this is really your choice, but it's a choice that's powerful to use positive language. Drop all of the negative, don't do this, don't do that. Take down all the signs that have the don't do this, don't do that language. You can always turn it around 180 degrees and say, please do the following. This is what our customers are asking for. Frame it in a positive way. Tell them what you want from them. They'll respond, and they really do, in a very positive way. So you focus on the desired result when you are talking with the staff and the cleaners. And ignore the rest. Ignore all the noise until it becomes disruptive. And that's when you pull the cleaner aside and you say, look, when you do this and then you say that, this is how it affects your partner, this is how it affects the other teams, this is how it affects your customers that you service. Please stop doing that. And you approach it from a very positive way. But at the end of the day, you still have to manage. And at times it's still going to be necessary to make those difficult decisions. And probably will have to, from time to time, let some people go. Maybe they just don't fit. Maybe they've got something going on in their life that is preventing them from being fully present, but you still have to manage. So what we did is we went out there and we started looking at quality. And we started with what was the equipment that we had? What was our supplies? And we made sure that we purchased quality equipment, quality supplies, and had enough of it on hand so we didn't have daily crises. Oh gosh, we don't have enough cleaning rags. I guess we've got to quickly launder some and run some out to the teams. Or the vacuum cleaners are giving their last dying gasp. I guess we have to quick run and buy some. No, we made sure we bought good equipment and we made sure that it was available in the quantities that we needed so we didn't have daily crises. What I'm saying with this is don't be cheap. Don't trip over dollars trying to pick up nickels and dimes. But it's, on the same hand, don't overspend either. Be frugal, spend wisely, and then share the wealth with the managers and the cleaners. They earned it for you. Bonuses create alignment.
One thing I can add in there, Todd, with just equipment and talking about that a little bit, vacuums that don't work the way they're supposed to work cause a lot of issues, right? So that they're going to increase cost of goods sold. It's going to take the team longer to get through the house. The result of the clean's not going to be as good. So, just to kind of build on your point, there's a lot of benefits that come out of making sure you have equipment that works and enough of it, replacement vacuums, those types of things. It goes the same for rags, having enough rags on hand. I took over an office once with Chad Moriarty from the Plymouth office. We bought an office a few years ago. Uh, the washing machine didn't work right, so the rags were never washed the right way, which made the cleaners' jobs difficult. So, again, added to cost of goods sold, resulted in unhappy cleaners, unhappy customers because the houses just weren't cleaned the right way. So you really can't overemphasize having the right equipment, maintaining it, making sure that people know how to use it, those types of things. So um,
It's,
that's
I
about all
mean,
I.
it's so easy to obsess over the fact that, oh, the vacuum cleaner costs $50 more than it did a couple of years ago. But if your team doesn't have the vacuum cleaner, your team that's producing $3,000 to $5,000 a week for you can't clean. We're talking about a team that's producing $150,000, $200,000 in revenue for you each year, and you're worried about $50 for a vacuum cleaner. That's the wrong priority. It's keeping them out there, keeping them productive and cleaning is the priority.
Yeah, making their lives easy in the field.
When we got good equipment, the teams just really responded to that. We could tell immediately that they appreciated it. So after that, we layered on standards. It was really a suggestion of my general manager, Erica. She said, we should have standards. And I said, I like that. I said, but how will we know what standards are and how will we recognize them? And she said, well, we want to start a quality program. I'm like, okay, I like that, but what is a quality program? So we defined it. 4 short groups of bullet points. What do we owe to our customers? What do our customers owe to us? What do we owe to our cleaners? And what do our cleaners owe us? And that way we can hold that yardstick up and we can measure and we know what quality is and what our standards are. But we also made sure, again, it came through in our language. We made sure that we were praising in public and correcting in private. We were always framing correction discussions as a desire to help them improve, a desire to help them earn more. And we always made sure we talked about behaviors and work quality, never anything that could sound like we were attacking the person or don't make it personal. It's about the work they do or don't do. And then, yeah, we do retraining, but instead of calling it retraining, we've always labeled it and we always structure it as how to earn more training. So while we're retraining them, we're also showing the teams how they can earn more money. And they do like that. When we talk to them, instead of it having to be with the manager saying, well, this is not what you're supposed to do, we've trained the managers to say, this is or this is not TCA quality. That takes some of the personal element out of it. And we're saying, TCA taught us to clean a certain way, to clean to a certain standard. This is what we bought when we signed that franchise agreement and when we pay our royalties. So we always hold up the TCA yardstick. This is or this is not TCA quality. It makes those conversations so much easier and it makes them so much less personal. So once you've got your good equipment and once you've implemented standards and you've adjusted your language, you have to make sure it's consistent. It can't be something that happens on Monday morning, but not on Monday afternoon, and happens on Tuesday afternoon, but not on Wednesday morning. It's got to happen every time with every customer in every house. That's what makes it work. And it has to be consistent from top to bottom, left to right, front to back in everything you do. If there's something the managers are supposed to do on a certain day of the week at a certain time, they need to do it at that time every week. If there's certain things that the cleaners do to prepare for the day or to wrap up their day, they need to do it every time. They need to follow the TCA process when they're out there interacting with the customers and they're in the houses. And again, we always frame it with the positive language, what we want from them. We've gone as far as taking out all the negative language in our handbooks, our memos, our notices, and always tell them what we want and always emphasizing consistency.
I think on that, Todd, one of the things that gets in the way, I think a lot of times at offices, is just like the day-to-day fires, right? So something pops up, we need to have a conversation, a follow-up conversation with the team this afternoon, but we're busy, we're out of the office. Maybe we can wait until the next morning to have that conversation, but we need to make sure that it happens, right? We can't let those day-to-day things get in the way. So we are consistent throughout the week, making sure that people get, I guess the negative feedback or, the feedback to help make them better, help make them more money, right? You can frame it that way. This is how you make more money, but also the positive feedback. But I agree with you that consistency across the week it's important.
It is, and we've combined it with pay. At the end of the day, these people are coming to us, they need to pay bills. People who clean houses typically are living paycheck to paycheck. And you'd be surprised how a few extra dollars on their paycheck each week just really puts some bounce in their step. And it really makes life easier for them. But what we've always done is we've tried to structure it in a way that gets the results that we want as a business. So we've started by making sure that our pay is competitive or even slightly above market for what they could get down the street. And that's across the staff. And I've taken the managers a step further, and they're paid quite a bit more than the average across the TCA network. We don't have inspectors, we have field managers, and they really do manage, each of them is responsible for half of the teams and for inspections. And they're paid as much or more than a lot of the general managers are in most offices. And then the pay scale goes up from there. And it has paid off in dividends and helping the business grow. Then we've implemented bonus plans from the top of the office all the way down to the bottom. And we've tied bonuses to people delivering what the business needs, delivering good quality cleaning, consistent quality, consistent service. And I know tends to be a reaction that, oh, that sounds so expensive. Well, I'm telling you, our COGS keep going down. We're not having a problem with driving expenses down. We're becoming more efficient, becoming better at what we do. The cleaners are seasoned, they know the houses, they know how to move through them, they know where the trouble spots are in the houses, what causes complaints and what causes difficulties. They know the customers and the personalities of the customers, so they're able to focus attention on the things that matter to those customers. The bonuses make everybody stay longer.
Yeah, and it leads to fewer problems during the day, right? So the teams, like you mentioned, the same two people cleaning the same houses every other week. It's the little things that really can add up to a great clean and a happy customer with good customer service. The teams know how to get to the house because they've been there before. They know how to get into the house. They've met the customer. They've met the dog. They know the hot spots in the house. They know how to make that customer's bed. So it really is those little things where keeping your employees long term, keeping those same two on the same team, cleaning the same houses makes a huge difference at the end of the day.
And customers will ask, when they call to reschedule, they want the same team. And we know that this is making a difference, that they see the same people every time. And those people know how to clean their houses. Now, when we reschedule, we can't always promise the same team, but it is information coming back from the market around us that these little things matter at the end of the day. So then let's move through some math examples here. And I pulled our hourly pay, I pulled our average clean time from some of the data sharing reports. And what I've done is I've calculated how this works along with the bonuses. And I'll explain those as we go through. So we're currently paying non-drivers $15.50 and drivers $17 an hour. I'm okay with having people who don't want to drive. The only thing we have to make sure is that we have enough drivers so that each of the teams can get out each day and take care of what they need. There are other owners who prefer to hire only drivers, and that's a choice that they make. So we've said we don't care. In fact, it works as long as we have enough drivers. So then we've calculated what their hourly pay is in a typical house, because the data sharing report was telling us that we're in the average house right around an hour and a half. When our customers tell us that our cleaners did a good job, each of those cleaners on the team gets $10 bonus on their next paycheck. So that's what I have here in the good job line. Our system asked these customers, would you be willing to leave us a Google review? The customers that do, then we go to the team that cleaned them. He said, guess what? You get an additional $15 on your next paycheck. So then you can see here as to how we're getting into the mid $40 per hour range, like for cleaning that house. And that gets it there because the customers who are telling us we did a good job and leaving Google reviews typically tip the cleaners. I've looked at the tips. Our tips average between $15 and $30 per cleaner. So for cleaning that house, in this example here, my office pays $45, $46, $7. Customer pays $15 to each cleaner. The cleaners walk away with $60 or $62 for cleaning that house. I divide by my hour and a half, and their hourly wage in that house is $45 to $48 per hour. So we look at the good jobs, and especially the Google reviews, as marketing and advertising. We're squeezing a lot of things out of these bonus dollars. We're squeezing 5 things out. It's retaining our cleaners and making them happy. It's motivating them to do what the customers want and give them a good job. It is helping us retain our customers because they're happy. These customers then are helping us market when they tell friends, family, and neighbors that we did a good job, and they're helping us market to the broader community when they leave Google reviews. So we're squeezing quite a bit out of these bonus dollars. It's not every house that tips, but it's enough that it makes a difference. And we have up around 725 or 30 positive Google reviews as of this time.
And a 4.9 star rating. Very, very nice.
Correct, and 4.9. So I've rerun the competition calculation again using the high end of the typical bonus range. And you can see how ultimately here at the bottom, it is pushing up hourly pay to close to $60 an hour for those houses. And there just aren't too many jobs where you can scrub toilets and earn $60 an hour. Now they're not earning that every hour of the day, but they're earning that from the houses that tell us they did a good job and are willing to leave Google reviews, and they tip. So here we can just walk through a little bit the notes that go with the math. As I said, I pulled the average clean time from the data sharing report. Good job bonuses, $10 per cleaner on their paycheck, the next paycheck. Google reviews, $15 more on their next paycheck. At first, when we started this, I thought, oh gosh, this is going to be many thousands and thousands of dollars every week. But it's kind of leveled out between $800 and $1,000 on a weekly basis. So we take this sheet with who got what, how many good jobs, how many Google reviews. It gets posted right up on the bulletin board, right next to the tip report for everybody to see. And they can all look and they can all see who's getting how much in tips, who's getting how much in good job and Google money, and they stop and they look it over. Other cleaner compensation. I pay the IRS business mileage rate, currently 67 cents per mile. I assumed when I looked at the data sharing report that would put us near the bottom if I ranked what travel was. And our travel actually ranks quite well. We've worked diligently to keep our routes short. It's something that Phil has always offered to help us with. We haven't taken him up on that offer. Seems like Erica, who watches that closely, has been doing a great job. When we're reimbursing for mileage on a weekly basis, it's between $70 and about $120 for each of the drivers. And it works out to about $280 to around $480 per month. We use that as a recruiting tool. We're able to go to the cleaners because if you think about it, these cleaners don't drive fancy cars. They're living paycheck to paycheck most of the time. That's enough money to pay for their cars while they work for us. Then we tell them, it'll be like having a car for free, night times, weekends, holidays, vacation. So it's a recruiting point, and it's an incentive for people to want to drive.
And not all your employees drive, right? So this is an incentive and a big reward for those who do drive. And it's not always easy to find drivers. And as you pointed out, if you can essentially pay for your car by driving it on the job, it's a pretty big incentive.
It is a big incentive. And then we offer monthly and quarterly bonuses. The top two receive $100 each. The next two, positions 3 and 4, receive $75. Positions 5 and 6, third tier, receive $50. Those are handed out in cash. Our staff meeting is the first Wednesday of every month. So we're handing out these cash bonuses at the beginning of the month for the prior month. We do the same thing for quarterly. The $100 for the top two, 75 for the next two, and 50 for two that are in tier 3. So how do you earn those? We tie it right back to quality and to the business goals. During the bonus period, whether it's for the month or the quarter, you have to meet COGS. No customer complaints, no unexcused absences, and demonstrate that you a good attitude during that month or during that quarter in order to get these bonuses. So we borrowed this straight off of Lanigan's board when his office when we visited. As soon as my manager saw that, they loved it and we implemented it. And it works. They get excited about it. So then how do we figure that out? So if you meet or beat the COG target, you get 16 points. If you don't have customer complaints, you get 10 points each week. If you have no unexcused absences, you get 24 points. Sum of 1 through 3 is 50. Number 4 is the important one. Bring a good attitude when you come to work. Don't tell me you won't go help a team that's in the weeds and needs help. They're behind, they're lagging on their schedule. That's not bringing a good attitude. Let's be willing to help, be a team player. So number 4 is the make it or break it one. Good attitude, you get the sum of 1 through 3 above. Bad attitude, no points for this week. So they take these 50 points, we have it up on a whiteboard in the break room, or by everybody's name, how many points they have, and they can buy prizes.
What kind of prizes can they get, Todd?
On the lower end, they buy shirts or they buy TCA, some sort of clothing or accessories. On the high end, they buy everything from air fryers to days off to raises. So we set the high end fairly high. It's up around 1,500, 2,000 points for some of these. Now, if you're thinking 50 points per week, you have to stay a while to get those high end bonuses. Those are not the easiest things to get.
Yeah,
And then
40
we do have a
weeks.
holiday party. And last couple of years, the grand prize has been 55-inch television. First time we gave it out, I could hear people going, "There's not a real television in that box, is there?" They thought maybe there was something else in the box, but no, it was a real 55-inch television. And again, that was based on performance during the year. And then we gave out gift bags to the top performers. So it's really worked out quite well, and it's helped lower our operating expenses. And so let's talk about 1%. That doesn't sound like too much. It actually sounds kind of small if you think about it, but it really does matter. 1% on operating expenses is another $10,000 that you're either choosing to put into the operating of your business or you're choosing to put into your bank account. Now it starts to matter if you're creeping up to 2, 3, or if you're knocking on $4 million a year, because all of a sudden every 1% is $20, $30, $40,000. And if your COGS happen to be in the low to mid 60% range instead of in the, say, upper 50% range, now all of a sudden you might be talking anywhere from 80 to 200,000 or more that you're making a daily decision to either put into the cost of running your business or you're putting into your bank account. So I've always found it very interesting to watch that data sharing report and say, okay, so who's getting the low COGS, but then how are they doing on customer terminations? How are they doing on other metrics? And there's some very good track records out there. And it tells us these are real offices. So it tells us what's possible. It's not somebody in corporate just making up a number. That's really happening across the network. And it's given us a goal to work toward. So if you really focus on the things that are easily in your control, you can influence the culture of your office, you can influence how it operates, how smoothly each day goes. You can keep employees, you can keep customers, and you can keep them happy. It's all about alignment and paying for what matters the most. That's what our bonuses are. It's paying for what matters the most. So as Tim said, when I took over the office, the cleaners weren't the happiest bunch. There was usually a line outside the manager's office every morning. The door would open, a team would leave, a team would go in. Managers would tell them what they were doing wrong and what they needed to improve on and give them the daily lecture. It was sort of the get your act together lecture. And this customer said you broke this, and that customer said you didn't clean this. It was crazy. Turnover was high. But once we started changing the language, and once we started handing those cleaners quality equipment and supplies every day, things calmed down immensely. The real thing that put us over the top was the quality program, and that was Erica's suggestion in June of 2022. A couple of months later, she suggested that we layer on the bonuses. And once we layered on the bonuses, things really took off. In fact, at the time I took over, I was more concerned about the cleaners. I wasn't terribly focused on the managers at first, but they told me later that when things calmed down, their life got better, and they really appreciated it. That how these changes just made everything so much easier. Now it's rare for the managers to pull anybody aside and talk to them. Everybody knows what their job is. They come in the morning, they get right to it, and they get it done. There's even days when the phone hardly rings, and I find myself picking up the phone and checking to see if there's a dial tone. Because I'm like, okay, nobody's calling. Is this a good thing? I hope it's a good thing. What we're seeing, though, is just a steady growth in the business, a steady reproduction of what we're supposed to do each and every day. Come in and we do it again and again and again. And I can say this, it's on my pun intended, it really is a rinse and repeat business. So we've done it by focusing on telling them what we want, showing them in our actions what we want, backing it up with money. We pay them to care. And that's what I showed you in the previous 4 or 5 slides. And we don't correct them or have get your act together or do it right sessions with cleaners. We have how to earn more training sessions, how to get more out of your time here. So summing this up, you would say, wow, $40 to $60 an hour sounds like a lot to scrub toilets. But that cost really has leveled out. And you have to think of all the benefits you're getting for those extra bonus dollars that you're paying. What you're really earning with that is the stability, the growth. It just is so much better, smoother running office. And paying managers well, because you're asking them to do a lot. You're asking them to grow your business for you. So pay them well. Reward them too. Give them the ability to earn more along with the cleaners. IRS reimbursement for mileage? Yeah, absolutely. It works just fine. Our COGS keep going down. I have no problem whatsoever paying the IRS mileage rate. So your rep, your ops rep, your contacts in corporate and all the different areas and help with everything from marketing to systems. We're all here. We're here to help you. Just remember that retention requires competitive pay and a great culture. Customer retention comes through consistent quality and commitment from your team, your managers, your cleaners. So don't forget to ask questions. Don't forget to use the tips and the tools that come out in the videos. Call your business coach. Tell them what you want help with. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, that's right. I think the bottom line, and you've kind of talked about it throughout the presentation today, but happy employees equal happy customers, which leads to happy managers and happy owners. So yeah, it kind of it starts at the top, but that the people out in the field, our cleaners actually doing the work, generating the revenue. When we keep them happy, good things happen. So if anyone has questions, feel free to pop them into the chat. I've had a couple come through, not a lot, but Todd, can you talk a little bit about your management structure, the people you have in place, how many you have, what the responsibilities are, that type of thing?
Yes, I have a team of 5 managers. Erica is the general manager tasked with the ultimate responsibility for everything in the office. She tends to focus very heavily on what's going on with the customers. She's closely supported by an assistant manager who does most of our estimates. We have an operations manager who's tasked with making sure that we have cleaners to clean houses, but we're definitely looking and we are interviewing when we need more cleaners. Both the operations manager and the general manager do substitute for each other when one or both of them is in some situation that they need help or they're out of the office. Then they're supported by 2 people that we call field managers. And we call them field managers because we ask them to do more than just be inspectors. We ask them to help manage half of the teams. And they periodically alternate which teams they are supporting. That helps us get transparency into what's going on with different personalities and different teams by switching. And it keeps both of them visible and in touch with every single one of our cleaners.
That's great. So with 5 managers, how many teams do you typically run? How many teams are they managing?
Today, we've got 22 teams out, but a few days ago, we had 25 teams out. So these field managers are directly responsible on any day for 10 to 12 teams.
And do they have specific teams that they're responsible for, or
Yes.
it's just kind of the area that they're in?
We split them up odd and even.
Okay.
That's how we do it.
Okay. So I think that's all the big stuff here. Just kind of seeing if any more questions happen to come in. But
If anyone's
Todd,
curious, I can tell you about how we do hiring.
let's hear it.
We don't use Indeed, and we haven't used Indeed. What this office had when I took over was a very, very simple Facebook page that they'd created. And the banner was a picture of all the cleaners, all the managers, owner dressed in black. We use that page to become members in all the different Facebook employment groups around town. And the purpose for that is because then when we're hiring, we post a very simple paragraph long ad that says we're looking for more cleaners. Your earning potential is between this dollar amount and that dollar amount. No nights, no weekends, no holidays. For more information, contact, and then we have Erica, Miriam, and Juliss's phone numbers listed. So after we post that ad, then you can share it out into each of these employment groups simply by clicking a couple of buttons. And it takes very little time at all. And we get 100% of our people that way. And we've reached the point, and this is another indication that the cleaners feel good about working here. We're starting to get regularly a lot of walk-in and a lot of referrals from our people who are here. And they're referring friends, family, people that they know from church, people from their community. It's not uncommon for us to have 6 or more walk-in people asking to apply every single week. I think there was one week recently where by Tuesday morning, we had 10 people walk in. And I asked Miriam, did she put out some broad public announcement across Indianapolis? What's going on? She's busy handing out applications, and she says, I have no idea, but they're here. And it really costs us nothing. We did try Indeed briefly back in 2021. Very frustrating. People can create a profile with as little as a phone number, a first name, an email address, and then click on every job listing under the sun. And Indeed is happy to charge you for that if you aren't managing it closely and carefully.
Yeah, yeah, no, great way. I know a lot of owners can be frustrated with Indeed from time to time, and sometimes they can generate some good leads, but it's great to have kind of a backup option. Um, so basically, you're posting on Facebook, linked up to all these other Facebook groups that you researched ahead of time, and how many you said how many groups are you linked to, Todd?
Well, that's interesting because when I started, they were connecting to about 12 to 14 Spanish-speaking groups. And I had said, I think you're missing half of the market because I see a lot of Hispanic and Latino names in the English-speaking groups too when I look. So we increased that, and we're somewhere up around 22 to 25 groups that we're posting in.
Okay. Another question. So the great jobs that teams get bonuses for, how do you track that?
We're going through just, it's a little bit manual, actually tracking the great jobs. But we record as much information as we can at the customer level and at the team level inside of IQ. And then the managers will comb through that and record how many great jobs or Google reviews we get. The Google reviews are easier because you can just look on Google and say, what are the recent reviews, most recent? But the good jobs require some combing through the system.
And the good jobs come
I've
in.
heard a rumor that maybe at some point in the future, there would be some more functionality where you could track this and possibly have it automatically flow to a paycheck with bonuses. But I don't know how soon that'll happen.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that at this point, so I don't think it's on the short list. But the good jobs are coming in through the app, right? The feedback through the app, through email, through customer conversation.
Correct. It's all coming back to us from the app, from the emails, yes.
Yeah. And then the math that we showed in the earlier slides. Do you show that to your teams? Do you show it to applicants?
Yeah, we do, actually. We show them what their earning potential is. And it's a great motivational tool for why would you really want to work here? Because this is how you can earn all this money. And we tell them what the pay range is too. Some of our go-getters are $800, $1,000 a week in pay.
Yeah, that's a big number for cleaning houses. That's great. So another question, Todd. So employees with poor attitudes, complaints, right? So you have the bonus system in place. How do you handle those situations? And I think you and I talked about some employees recently that weren't top performers. So how do you handle those situations?
The managers pulled them aside privately and just talk about what it is that we need from them. in order to deliver what we promise to our customers. And then we talk to them about how their attitudes or their poor performance are affecting the customers, are affecting their partners and the other teams. If they just aren't interested or aren't able to improve, we do from time to time let an employee go. But each time we talk to them, they just sign a little form that says, yes, we had this discussion. Then if it's necessary to let them go, we can say, look, here's the history of the discussions that we've had. Things haven't changed. This might not be the right job for you.
Yeah, no, that's good to give them a chance to correct it, right? So you're talking to them about correcting it, giving them that chance, and if they continue, and I guess don't take your constructive feedback into account and act on it, then it's time to move them out, right? They're going to move up and kind of do what they're supposed to do, or they're going to get pushed out, unfortunately for them. Another question. So bonuses. So those are all paid through payroll, right? The good jobs, the Google customer feedback, all of that. Is that how it works?
It is, with one exception, or a couple of exceptions. As I said, the $100, $75, $50 for each month or each quarter are cash bonuses. Those are expensed through the financial statements as a de minimis expense. We run Employee Appreciation Month every February. So the difference with Employee Appreciation Month is it's not $15 for a Google review, it's $25. They get it on the staff meeting in March in cash rather than on their paycheck each week. And they get pretty excited about that because first year I paid out $4,150. The next year I paid out $5,250. The year after that was $7,450. And then this last year was back in March, just a couple months ago, $8,625. And every time we have moved up, I started to really notice a difference in how Google reviews were helping us once we got up north of 250, 300. But then prospective customers started commenting on, oh, I checked your reviews and you've got a lot of great reviews. That's when we started saying, aha, it's working. Customers are noticing, they're checking that, they care.
Yeah. Yeah. Those reviews go a long way, and it's always nice to hear when prospects and customers notice them. So talking about the cash payments, I am no HR and payroll expert, but my understanding is it probably should be run through payroll. I've done it at my office in the past where I have done cash payments and then put it through as an advance, and then kind of back it back out, and it does do the taxable side of it to kind of keep it legal. So just wanted to put that out there for everybody who's listening. So questions, I think that's a lot of it here. I think the last one. So just real quick, and we don't have to get into amounts, but so you have your 5 managers, Todd. Who's salaried and who's hourly? Which positions are salary versus hourly?
They're all salaried. I don't have any hourly managers.
Okay. And then estimates. So you have one person primarily doing estimates. Do you have a backup there as well?
I do. Well, Julissa has been historically primarily responsible for estimates. Miriam and Erica also do estimates. And they definitely go out and do estimates when we have them back to back, because we've got pretty much all the estimate slots open on our schedule. So if we've got an estimate every half hour, then 2 or 3 people are doing them. there's no way to finish one estimate and get to the next one in 30 minutes.
No. Okay, well, I think that's it. Going through all the questions here. So thanks everybody for attending today. Thank you, Todd. Thanks for putting it together. Todd put the whole thing together, everybody. He put together the slides, all the detail behind it, his whole thought process. So I appreciate it. I know Todd wanted to kind of get it out there. He's got a lot of things working right at his office, and his thought was, let's share it. Let's do a webinar and kind of let everyone else know what we're doing. And if they want to implement some of it at their offices and it helps, fantastic. So I appreciate it, Todd, and I think all our participants today appreciate it too.
Thank you.
All right. Well, have a good day, everybody, and thanks for attending.